It's a blowout. 8th inning, 10-3. Bases are loaded for Verlander, who waits on a 3-0 pitch. He swings, and it's a high fly ball. Deep center field. It is gone. Home run. And a huge bat flip to celebrate. All right, Ben, start the show already.
What's up, everybody, and welcome into Flippin' Bats. We are back in studio. Alex and I have made it back from the World Series safely to Los Angeles, and it is officially the offseason. The Astros win the World Series. We were there. It was quite the journey, so we already have a ton to talk about. We're going to wrap that all up. Top 10 postseason moments, Alex's top 5 memories. We have all the award finalists have been announced. I'm going to give who I would pick to win all the awards, the top free agents. We got a ton to talk about. I feel like the offseason just started, but it is already off and running, already a lot happening. But Alex, I'm going to be honest, it feels a little weird being back in studio when we've been gone for so long.
I think the most impressive part is that you have a voice. When we finished the World Series, got off the show, you got out of the clubhouse, all the celebration with your family, there were barely sounds coming out of your mouth.
There
congratulations on having a voice
Thank you.
back.
There were barely sounds, and it has been, I still don't sound the same, but it has been a gradual progression back to this point. I'm still I completely lost my voice, but we're back a little bit. You, on your end, by the way, Alex is a trooper. I can't even believe she's doing this. You had a root canal yesterday? Is that true?
I did. It feels like I got punched in the face 5 times. It's painful. And apparently, Novocaine doesn't affect me. So he had to give me 5 shots when it was supposed to be 1. And then the last one was directly into my tooth. He's like, this is going to hurt. I was like, I'm going to cry. But I'm here. I slept yesterday. Feel like I got punched in the face today.
Good Lord.
We're doing it.
So
we're doing it.
Long story short, who knows what's gonna come out of your mouth today? Yeah. It might be.
I'm a little loopy today. I feel like I'm floating, but we're
right
here and we're doing it. And it's going to be a fun show.
It is. It's going to be a blast. Already a ton happening this offseason. A ton of free agency stuff. So we're going to get into all that. But there was a ton of great stuff going on in the postseason, including, by the way, my shirt today. I'm rocking, it seems fitting, Trey Mancini's fight shirt for him battling back from cancer. He was obviously a huge part of the Astros' success in Game 5 and 6. That huge defensive play he had in Game 5 off the bat of Kyle Schwarber, a big hit in Game 6. So it just felt fitting to wear his shirt today. Friend of the pod, so shout out Trey Mancini.
I love it. He had tears in his eyes.
He did.
I think we both talked to him. He was one of the double-ups we talked to post-game after the Astros won the World Series.
Yeah. You
got to imagine just that full circle moment for him. There was that point in his career, you don't know if you're going to play baseball again. And then to win a World Series is just that was one of the many magical moments.
He said it himself. Somebody asked him about baseball, and he said, forget baseball. I'm just trying to live.
Yeah.
Fast forward a couple of years, and he's a World Series champion.
So cool.
Pretty cool there. And just one of, I felt like a million great postseason moments. So we're going to go over the top 10 moments of the entire postseason. So not just the World Series, not just the CS on, from the beginning of the playoffs all the way through the final out. These are my top 10 moments of the 2022 postseason. And man, this was difficult.
There's a lot to choose from.
This was difficult.
I'm
really was.
excited to see what you got. So what's number 10? What are you starting with?
At number 10, Oscar Gonzalez's walk-off home run for the Guardians in the 15th inning. If you remember this, it was a 0-0 ball game. Nobody was doing anything against the Rays. He walked it off. This was a big reason they beat the Rays and advanced in the playoffs. He walked up to the SpongeBob SquarePants theme song because baseball's fun, and that's been his walkout song all year long. This was so cool. The rounding the bases, jumping up and down. There's nothing quite like a walk-off homer in the postseason, and Oscar Gonzalez did that early on.
Yeah, Cleveland was just such a surprise in the best way. Such a young group of guys that you could tell were having fun. I mean, the SpongeBob walk-up song alone, just how they celebrated. I mean, that's what made them so dangerous. They were so young. I don't think anybody knew what to expect. And they did great this year.
Nobody knew what to expect. I don't think they knew what to expect. you have the saying, act like you've been there before. Well, they haven't.
No.
And Josh Naylor at a later point in the playoffs hits that home run off Garrett Cole and rocks the baby and screaming at Garrett Cole, running around the bases. I mean, these guys were just like,
they're having fun.
We're here on borrowed time. Like, we're the youngest team in baseball. And guess what? We're here. We're good. And they showed the world this year that they were pretty good. They were so much fun to watch. Oscar Gonzalez is my number 10 top postseason moment.
I also love SpongeBob making a little comeback. Were you SpongeBob SquarePants?
Yeah.
Kid?
Did it ever go away?
I don't know. I feel like it.
Oh, you went
for
away for us because
we
up. Aged out of it.
All right.
But I don't know.
Good for SpongeBob.
Is it still a thing?
I didn't know. That's why I was like, I feel like it's coming back.
Do they still make new episodes?
No idea. Can someone tell us?
We need to do it.
Yeah.
It's the off season. We'll do a deep dive SpongeBob SquarePants top 10
I'm
moments
down.
at some point.
Yes, they're still making episodes.
They're still making episodes.
There we go.
I got a Trip, of course, producer Trip locked in there for us. So, all right, that's my number 10. Number 9. This was a good one.
Okay.
Joe Musgrove dominating after the ear check.
Oh, yes.
They go out to the mound. It was a huge talking point on social media. Why are his ears glistening? What's going on with Joe Musgrove? Well, sure enough, Buck Showalter sends the umpires on out there, says, hey, check him. They did. Thoroughly. I mean, this was a sensual ear check if I've ever seen one. The earlobes were massaged. The top of the ears were tickled. Everything under the sun was done to Joe Musgrove's ears, and he did not like it. Did not like it one bit, and he was pissed. He dominated before that. He dominated after it. He was gesturing to the opposing dugout, gesturing to the fans, and this was quite the moment. Well, just because of everything that happened here. The social media craze about his ears, and then him dominating after, him not liking it, nobody liking it, everybody being pissed off. And Joe Musgrove, also friend of the pod, I will never forget that moment. That is
we were
2022.
sitting watching the game, eating our dinner, getting ready to do our post-game show, and we were all kind of questioning, like, well, is it cold? Maybe his ears are turning red and glistening because it's cold. There was was it the hot stuff that maybe he was putting on to like warm up your ears? There were so many different things, but ultimately, I think it was the Mets' last-ditch effort to try to save and salvage the end of their season that they just completely blew.
We talked about it in the moment.
Yeah.
It is gamesmanship. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to do that, you better be right. Mm-hmm. Because at that point, it's like, well, this is just screwed up then. Like, what do you mean? Like, now you're sending out the umpires in the middle of a playoff game against a guy dominating, saying he's got something on his ears. And sure, his ears were glistening, but like, come on. Like, you got to be right if you're going to do that. And there's a million different things it could have been. I believe it was Andrew McCutchen talked about it being red hot because pitchers like to do that to stay locked in. When I was playing one of my first years professionally, I started the year in Grand Rapids, Michigan for the Whitecaps. Don't know how much you know about Michigan in April, but we got snowed out a game early on in the year. It is freezing cold. And a lot of guys just cover their bodies in Vaseline because it closes up your pores. It's almost like a extra layer on your body. So who knows what it was, but they went out and checked. He dominated. And it was a memorable moment for sure.
Yes,
and
it was.
That comes in at number 9 for me. Number 8 on my list, the Rally Goose.
Yeah.
The Rally Goose on the field. It changed the Padres season around. One, I like how we've just, if the Dodgers had gone on to win, this would have been the Dodgers Rally Goose.
Yeah.
But no. Padres come back. Padres win. This is the Padres Rally Goose. Now, this did lead to one of the most cringy videos of all the postseason, all of baseball, when those 5 older gentlemen.
No, I thought that's what you were going to bring up.
It's not one of my top moments,
so
but it did
bad.
lead to this. Those 5 guys, just I don't even want to talk about it.
No.
It was the most cringeworthy video of the 2022 baseball season. But this is positive. The Rally Goose, we ended up, because they beat the Dodgers, we were in San Diego for the CS.
And the fans adopted it.
The fans adopted it. There's hats.
So many goose costumes, like little kids. We saw a couple adult gooses. Geese. Is it geese? Not gooses. Thanks. Words are hard.
She's loopy, remember?
Yeah, it's okay. Oh my gosh, look at this one. I didn't even see the one that we have on the screen right now. That's a little freaky. But yeah, I love when something like that gets adopted. It's like the Angels back in 2002, the Rally Monkey. It's still their mascot from 2002.
That's a good point.
So who knows? We'll see how long the Goose is Loose is going to last in San Diego.
Yeah, it was a great moment, though. A great series. Also encompassing this moment is just the Padres beating the Dodgers in the NLDS. The Padres who could not get past the Dodgers. They were dominated. They were owned by the Dodgers. Next thing you know, a goose shows up on the field, and the Padres win the NLDS and knock out the Dodgers in the first round of the playoffs, when I was told by everybody, including producer Tripp, who's a big, noted Dodgers fan on this show, that it was 100% chance the Dodgers were going to beat the Padres. Now, little did he know a goose would come into the picture. He couldn't have seen that coming. Great moment in the postseason.
That was kind of their World Series win for the Padres. As we saw once we got to the next round.
True.
Yeah.
Their season didn't last much longer, but who knows what that means for them going forward next year. Just the mental hump of like, when it matters most, we can beat the Dodgers, and we didn't have Fernando Tatis.
Yeah.
We talked about that. Who knows if it would have been a help or a hurt having Tatis. You can't say that it would have helped them be better, because guess what? They didn't have him all year and whatever. But next year they will have him at a certain point, which, by the way, I think every game that they played in the playoffs tacked off a game to his suspension.
That's crazy. I did not realize that until you mentioned it. Good for them.
Yeah.
Get him back sooner.
I don't know how many games they end up playing. Probably they played 3 in the wild card round. They beat the Dodgers in 4, so that's 7, and then the Phillies in 5. So by my quick math, that's 12 games knocked off of Fernando
Couple
Tatis'
weeks.
suspension.
Yeah.
That's big.
That's big.
That's big. All right, Padres rally goose at 8. At 7, speaking of the Phillies, Rhys Hoskins, that huge home run against the Braves, and the bat spike.
Oof.
Yeah. This was all time here. And I was able to ask Rhys Hoskins about it at some point throughout our playoff run. And he just said, like, you just dream of those moments where you could sense the crowd was ready to erupt. You dream of being the guy to make them erupt. And he said, I blacked out. I didn't know what I did. I've never done that before, but I hit it, threw my hands in the air, and I spiked the bat as hard as I could. The place was going nuts. Just, I got chills watching this moment, and I still do. Really cool, and a moment that was all time in this postseason.
And was really foreshadowing how he was going to be throughout the postseason. Rhys was one of the handful of Phillies that just came alive in the postseason, and it was magical to watch. It was fun to watch. It
was. Definitely was. So that Rhys home run is here at number 7. Another home run at number 6.
Which one?
Yordan Alvarez.
Oh, yeah.
The walk-off home run against the Mariners early on in the playoffs in the ALDS. This game did not go according to plan for the Astros. This was a game Justin started. It didn't go great for him. He didn't have his typical outing, but this team just kept fighting, getting back into it. And, oh, man, it's all coming back to me. If you remember here, the Mariners were in a great position here, and then they brought in Robbie Ray out of the bullpen, a guy that has never had a save in his entire career. This was his first, I think, save opportunity. Comes in to get one batter, Yordan Alvarez, and it didn't go great. And it ended up being a theme in this postseason. Teams going to the bullpen, bringing in a lefty just to face Yordan, and it didn't work out great. And it didn't here. Walk-off home run. What a moment here. Everything could have changed here, by the way. And there's often these moments in the postseason where it's like, what would have happened if if Yordan gets out there, the Astros are down 0-1 in a series. You have to win game 2. And then you go to Seattle, where who knows what happens there. So big moment there. Yordan stepped up multiple times in this postseason, and it started early on with game 1 for the Astros.
I have a feeling he's going to have another number on your list.
He might.
He
Do you
might.
know my list?
I don't have it in front of me, so I'm flying blind here.
We'll see.
So it's fun. But I did hear 5 might have to do something with Seattle.
5 does have something to do with Seattle. You are correct.
Okay.
And man, did I love this, and I was eating it up. At number 5, the rally shoe comeback.
Oh, yeah.
This was great. Some fella named Ben, because Bens don't always do the sharpest things in the world, took off his Birkenstock, put it on top of his head, and the Mariners completed perhaps the greatest postseason comeback of all time.
Yep.
Now, this is a 2-part thing. One, the comeback itself against the Blue Jays when they were down and out. They were going to lose that game. Who knows what would have happened in that series? They were going to lose. They could have lost the series. Next thing you know, the rally shoe became a thing. He starts it. This shoe is now in the Mariners Hall of Fame.
Love that.
Everybody in the stands was doing it. Now, this game that I'm talking about was on the road in Toronto, but they had a viewing party back in Seattle at the stadium, and that's where this guy put the shoe on his head. Next thing you know, everybody's doing it. The majority of the crowd had shoes on their head, and it sparked the rally shoe of 22. It will live on forever, and the only reason it's not higher is because they got swept in the next round. But it is an all-time moment. Absolutely.
As you see on the screen right now, you got Bill Nye going along with it, putting the rally shoe on his head. We know he's a friend of our
Oh my God.
of our producers.
Bill Nye. I didn't even see this. I didn't even see this.
Stars are
but
out tonight.
The stars are out tonight. Shout out producer Rego for his Bill Nye moment. But that's neither here nor there anymore. Mariners rally shoe became a thing, and it will live on forever. And I have no doubts next year.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it. Next year, when they get back to the playoffs,
Ooh, okay. Hot
the
take.
rally shoe will be a thing all over again.
It has
was
to
great.
be.
Yeah, it has.
Legendary move.
Number 4,
What you got?
Chas McCormick's catch in the World Series.
Ooh.
This was one of the greatest catches of all time in a World Series game. I have no doubts about that. A huge moment. This happened in the 9th inning of Game 5, right? And I have a lot to talk about. We haven't even really dove in on this.
Nope.
But one, JT Realmuto comes up, 1 out, 1-run game, 3-2. My brother's first World Series win on the line.
Yep.
McCormick goes up and makes that catch in that moment. One, it looked like Realmuto hit it out. We had an interesting vantage point for this because this was in the 9th inning during the playoffs when Alex and I have live shows. During that last half inning, Alex and I have to go get ready. So we're like in the tunnel, right where the gate opens, right ready to go out on the field. In Philly, it's at the right field foul pole. So we're down there, and there's like a tiny little TV you can watch on. And luckily, I'm tall enough to see over the fence to a certain degree. I see on the TV that the ball's hit pretty well. I turn, I look out in center field, and all I can see is McCormick running. He jumps up. I saw the catch from like his feet up, and it was an all-time World Series catch. And there were multiple plays that game that really showcase. One of the big advantages for the Astros over the Phillies was the defense.
Yeah.
It showed itself multiple times, and in Game 5, it showed itself. This was one of the greatest World Series catches of all time. We saw it happen right in front of us. I'm not sure if Alex saw it because she wasn't on her box yet.
Rub it in.
But
No, I could not see anything.
I don't know if you saw this.
What? Oh, yes.
The
imprint.
dirt.
Yeah.
There was an imprint left on the warning track of Chas McCormick laying on the dirt with his number and his name visible. It was an outline of his body.
It looked fake.
It looked fake. Here it
Yeah.
is right here if you're watching and not just listening. if you're just listening, by the way, you can watch every episode on our YouTube at Flippin' Bats Pod. But this is it. I still can't believe this is real. It looks fake. It's a full body imprint of him. You can see his number, and it's when he came down after the catch and rolled down on the warning track, and it just left the perfect imprint.
And like, shout out to the fan that looked over the edge and got the shot.
I still can't believe it.
It was beautiful.
I actually didn't believe it at first. The first time I saw it was from when MLB on Fox tweeted it, and I was like, why would we post something that is clearly not real? And then I saw it other places.
Surprise.
And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
This
it's
is
real.
real. So all-time catch, number 4 moment for me. And this is where it started getting hard. Honestly, the top 5 here is remarkable. Chas McCormick's catch being at number 4 just speaks volumes to this list. But Chas McCormick at number 4. At number 3, the Houston Astros no-hitter in the World Series. The second ever no-hitter. Now, it's not on the same playing field because
it's combined.
The other was a perfect game, right? However, this was quite literally the second ever World Series no-hitter, the third in postseason history, which is crazy. And it was the first since Roy Halladay did it on that very field years prior. What a moment. Really cool for us to be there to see it. In all honesty, didn't hit the same because it was on the road and the road fans were not happy about it. But
silent. They turned their backs.
They did. They turned their backs.
backs.
I caught up with Ryan Presley immediately following that game. The smile on his face, the emotion that hit him. Just think about that. The Phillies were the hottest team on planet Earth, and they're built around their lineup that is one of the most expensive lineups in all of baseball. And the Astros throw a no-hitter against them on the road in the playoffs. Truly a remarkable feat, and it's here at number 3.
Yeah, I think the craziest part of that is you have to have every single one of those pitchers on the same page.
Yeah.
And to shut out, as you mentioned, one of the hottest lineups that we saw. Doesn't matter if they go down 5 runs, they'll come back. They've done it before. And it was all the home run ball. So that was shocking.
Now, yes, you make a good point. Will I sit here and argue that a combined no-hitter is better than a solo no-hitter? I will not make that argument. But I will make an argument for the fact that it is super impressive because solo, you got one guy that's locked in. He just keeps on going until the lights turn off. Next thing you know, he's accomplished one of the greatest feats you can in baseball, which is a no-hitter. Combined no-hitter, you have to have every guy coming in out of the pen on their A game, not wavering off their game and not giving up a single hit. Very impressive. Now, we have seen far less of these in baseball history. I believe there's only been 18 combined no-nos.
This was the 19th one.
This was the 19th?
Yeah.
So the reason there's a lot of different talking points here. Is it as impressive as a solo no-hitter? No, absolutely not. Solo no-hitter, definitely more impressive and means more in my book. But combined no-no is still very noteworthy. The reason we have seen far less is because back in the day, a pitcher as a no-hitter, they'd just throw him 300 pitches. If you got a no-hitter, just keep on going. That does not happen as much anymore. Pitchers will get pulled around that 100 to maybe 120 pitch mark, no more. And it doesn't matter if you're throwing a no-hitter. We saw it multiple times this year. You're going to come out of the game. And that's why we're seeing more combined no-nos, but still impressive. And to do it in a World Series on the biggest stage, really, really cool. They're here at number 3. At number 2, we're going to go back to the NLCS.
Yes.
Bryce Harper's home run in the 8th inning off of the Padres. This clinched the NLCS. It looked like we were heading back to San Diego. Bryce Harper down a run. I get chilled. We were there. We could hear it. We could see it. We were down preparing for the show. The stadium was shaking. This was Bryce Harper's moment.
Yeah.
The moment that his entire career has led up to. He's a 2-time MVP. He's done everything under the sun besides win a World Series. And he does this moment to send his team to the World Series. This was all time. I talked about it in depth afterwards, but this was the moment that Bryce Harper became a Philly icon for the rest of his life.
Oh, yeah.
That moment right there. He had one of the greatest postseasons of all time, and that was the moment. That was the Bryce Harper moment right there.
Oh, he etched himself into Philly history.
Yep.
For the rest of sports history, for the rest of time. And you said it. The place was shaking.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever felt a stadium move and bounce like that place did. And we were preparing for a Padres post game, getting ready to go back to San Diego, and it was like, psych.
We were preparing for
winning.
We were going to have to, because there was no travel day.
No.
So we were fully prepared to have a post-game show, get on our flight to San Diego at like 2 a.m.
Yep.
Fly to San Diego, arrive at like 4 a.m. West Coast time, and do a show, pregame and postgame show. Like, that was happening.
Yep.
Until Bryce Harper saved the Phillies season and saved our sleep schedule. So that's why he's here at number 2. Well, it was so cool.
That was so magical.
Number 1, you mentioned stadium shaking.
Yep.
It happened again here at number 1. Yordan Alvarez home run in Game 6 that essentially won the Houston Astros the World Series. And what a moment this was. I teased it a little earlier. It was foreshadowing teams bringing in a left-handed pitcher just to get out Yordan. He might not have had the greatest World Series in the world, but this moment was the greatest moment of the playoffs. They bring in Jose Alvarado, who throws 101 miles an hour from the left side. It moves all over the place. Talk all you want about the decision itself, because Zach Wheeler was throwing well, but they went to their go-to lefty reliever against the biggest lefty bat in baseball, arguably, you know, in the American League. Got to give a shout out to Bryce Harper there, but Yordan Alvarez is the bat that scares you in the Astros lineup. They went to their guy, their left-handed reliever, and Yordan Alvarez sent a ball to center field over the fence that's 400-plus feet, over the batter's eye that's pretty tall. I have never, in all of my time going to games in Houston, seen a ball hit where Yordan Alvarez hit that ball. And the place was shaking. Everybody was screaming. That was the moment that the Houston Astros won the 2022 World Series.
It was, because Philly was up 1 at that moment, and there was like a glimmer of hope. Okay, we might get a Game 7. The moment he came to the plate and that happened, everything was done. Houston won.
You know what's cool about that? And both of my top 2 moments here are moments like this. I've always felt moments are bigger when you can feel the moment ahead of time.
Yeah.
Right? So the Astros, for the first time in the game, got something going. 1st and 3rd, nobody out. So the crowd was going nuts. They were on their feet. It was one of those moments where you're just ready to erupt. And it would have erupted with a single.
Yep.
But he did that, and it just makes it that much more like, oh my God, this is just an all-time moment. It happened with Bryce Harper because it's Bryce Harper.
Yep.
The crowd is in it. They have a runner on base. Everybody feels like this is a moment in the making. Harper gets it done. Yordan comes up. This is a moment in the making. And Yordan lived up to the moment and more. Hit a ball over the batter's eye. They said it was estimated at 450 feet. I would take the over there. I have never seen a ball hit up there. And Yordan lived up to that moment. And as with Harper, he etched himself into Houston history forever because that was his moment. That was the Yordan moment. And man, was that cool. It won the Astros the World Series, and it led to a heck of a night for us, Alex. It led to a heck of a night quite the journey for us.
Yeah.
We were with the for the NLCS and then the World Series, and it all led up to that Yordan homer, the World Series championship, us being out on the field for the celebration. I was personally left with so many memories throughout this postseason, and I'm excited to hear what your takeaways were as well.
Yeah, so let's dive into my top 5 favorite moments.
Okay.
We'll get into the World Series. We'll get there in a moment.
Okay.
But at number 5, I had I think I became maybe best friends with the Philly Fanatic.
Ah.
Yeah, I got to meet him our first day in Philly. Questionable move right off of the bat.
Because why? Of course.
Because our producer Rago caught on film, and I picked up a lot of Philly fans after that.
Yeah,
I must say, which was fun.
He's
wild.
He's wild. He lives up to the hype. He's a legend. The
He
Philly
is.
Fanatic is a legend.
He is.
One of the best mascots in all of sports, no doubt. Alex, you can't convince me that this video didn't take place 8 months ago.
I know.
How?
Who are you? Where are we? What day is it?
This
What
literally
time
was
is it?
like 2.5 weeks ago,
Was
and
it?
it feels like
Is that
was
when
a
it was?
lifetime ago. Yeah.
I don't know. Time doesn't exist to
Time's
me
a
right now.
circle.
Yeah, no idea. All right, number 5. Flippin' bats out in the wild. I loved just meeting all of the fans at the meetups that we had. I loved the fun little social media videos that we did on like kind of off days or mornings before. You have this one, our Halloween one that we did that the game might have been postponed, but Halloween wasn't. And we actually got tagged in some videos of the writers up in the room. Like, okay, the game's not happening, but there was a sumo wrestler and an alien racing on the warning track. This is strange. You can just hear all the typing in the background.
Yeah.
We also got to do a funny little Rocky video, which was almost like a Philadelphia tour for us, because we woke up one morning and just went to all the iconic spots, shot some
Whatever.
This was Buckland's vision. Another one of our.
I feel like we need to talk about this because we haven't talked about it a lot. One, if you're just listening, all these insane videos we're talking about are on TikTok, and Halloween night was the game that was rained out in the World Series. And Alex and I got costumes. We made a video. The costumes are great. Now, this was posted in more places. You might have seen this on any social media, but we dress up. As Alex mentioned, we did a video. We were running across the warning track in the rain. And then either like late that night, somebody took a video from the press box 400 feet away and said the game might have been postponed, but there's an alien and a sumo wrestler running on the warning track. That was great. But this Rocky video, now there's a lot that went into this, and this was impressive, and a lot went into this, courtesy of Buck, as you mentioned. But because of the like audio and how this all worked out, like we had to put the Rocky theme song to it naturally, but we couldn't post it so this only lives on TikTok. So go check it out if you haven't yet. But basically, Alex and I recreated the workout scene from Rocky, like the 3-minute long video, him running along the water, running up the Rocky steps, boxing. Like this was great, and this was a production. People should win awards for how much went into this. And there was a scene that Rocky is running down an alleyway, and there's like a bunch of markets, and somebody throws him.
It's the Italian market.
The Italian market. Yeah. We recreated that. We stopped traffic and ran right down the middle of this market, and we got somebody to throw us an orange while we were like, this was a legit production, and it all lives on TikTok. This was a good one.
Yeah, that was fun. That was some fun. Let's do this. Okay, why not? We have a morning. Let's go do it. Yeah. So I love the yes and culture of being on the road. Yeah. So that was awesome.
Yeah.
Number 3, the World Series win. I thought it was so special to spend so much time with your family leading up to the big World Series win in Houston, just spending time with your mom and dad, seeing your brother, seeing Kate and her dad with us out at dinner, and then just having that moment of all of you guys out on the field, the Verlander and the Upton family, just celebrating such an iconic moment together and all being there for different reasons. Obviously, us covering it, you covering your brother and your brother winning. That was a pretty magical thing to watch and be a part of.
Yeah, it's special to even watch, if you're watching, you can see the video right now. I'm sure the videos were seen on social media. But yeah, it was just so special. And, it wasn't just Justin winning a World Series. And, there was a lot of emotion throughout the entire World Series for Justin, for myself, for my family. And it was all it was a combination of everything. Like my niece, who turned 4 years old the day after the World Series ended, she was there. And these are memories that she has a chance of remembering.
Yeah. And
my parents all being able to be there, me being there for work, Justin being there for work. It was an entire family affair. And for it to end the way it did, for it to end with me running out on the field for work and to find Justin and to hug him and for the team to be going crazy, it felt like we were a part of it.
Yeah.
We were a part of this journey. Our journey led up to this, and it all merged in together with this journey that my family was on as well. And I don't know how we top it, but we're sure as hell going to try.
Yes, we will.
Continually moving upwards, but this was special.
On top of that, I think it was also really special, the Do It for Dusty motto that was going on throughout the World Series, and just you could see the pure joy on Dusty's face when he was on stage, when he was giving the speeches in the clubhouse, and just how much this really did mean for him. I mean, the guy's a legend. There was a Rolling Stone article that came out a couple weeks ago talking about how he had smoked a joint with Jimi Hendrix. The guy is legendary.
Can't share them, but
legendary.
I have some stories.
Yeah.
And my favorite thing about one of my favorite things about him up on the stage, as you mentioned, when Dusty's happy and says something that he thinks is funny, he does this running in place thing, and he's like, ah, ha, 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 while he's running. And I just love the guy. How do you not love him? He's 72, 73, and getting his first World Series as a manager. So cool.
And I think we said who was going to probably party the most after that World Series win. My vote was Dusty. He was on stage going, "What are you going to do tonight? Celebrate?" He goes, "Party!"
And then he ran in place.
So epic. All right. The second one kind of ties in to the World Series win, but also all the other magical moments. And it's just the magic of walking onto the field of a home playoff win. Now, we got extremely lucky. You talked about it earlier, where we spend kind of that ninth inning standing in the outfield, waiting for the gates to open. The moment that the game ends and we walk on the field, fireworks are going off, fans are going crazy, and we got to experience this in every ballpark that we went to during the postseason. San Diego, Philly, Houston. I mean, Philly was the first time I think we got the full crazy fireworks at night. Everyone was going ham. That really just blew my mind, gave me goosebumps, and gave you that moment of take this in. This is a really special moment.
Those are moments where, and I experienced it for the first time last year. And I was thinking about it a lot throughout this season of and I think you can attest to it now that you've experienced it. It will never get old.
No.
Walking out onto a field during the playoffs, specifically the World Series, when the home team wins, the gates open up, we're the first ones on the field, fireworks are going off, fans are screaming.
Yeah.
It's like out of a storybook. It really is. And we got to experience it a lot of times, as you mentioned. One of my favorites was the one time that it happened during the World Series in Philly.
Yeah.
When Dancing on My Own was sung around the entire crowd. They all stayed forever. But it's special in every single stadium. And I'm happy this is on your list. I'm excited to see what's number one after this. But it's an all-time moment.
Yeah, it kind of leads in to number one. And my number one was Bryce Harper sending the Phillies to the World Series with that home run in NLCS that clinched everything, because the whole encompassing moment of the stadium just going crazy, losing their mind, not knowing if they were going to actually be able to take this game, win it at home in Philly. We walked out onto the field, fireworks going crazy, rushing to the middle to try to talk to any player that we could in that moment. I went straight to Miles Teller, got their number one fan reaction to that. And it felt huge. It felt big for the city of Philly. It felt big for the fans. It felt big for the team, a team that no one thought would be here and would get to the World Series, and they got there. It was just everything surrounding that moment. And that like hour and a half after the home run was just so magical.
Yeah. Those moments, it does tie into your last one.
Yeah.
But these ones are cool. The clinchers, like after that home run, 3 outs later, we were in the middle of the celebration with the Phillies. And I talked to Bryce Harper about it. And it's like, God, so many memories.
So many memories.
And I really feel like, I feel like I said this a bunch during our playoff run, but I feel like the literal goal is to just make people feel like they're a part of it with us. Make the entire Flippin' Bats community feel like they're there and part of it. And we just threw ourselves in the middle of celebrations, talked to guys and got their raw emotion and just brought it all to our Flippin' Bats show. And just so many memories, Alex. So many memories. And it feels like we were gone for a couple of months. Like it was
a couple of weeks.
And it was a journey that I will never forget. And I will never forget the first one, and I will never forget this one, and I will never forget the next one. Like these are the moments you live for and that you remember forever. And it was awesome to experience it with our entire crew that worked their tails off during this. Like, just so many memories.
Well, when you love the game the way that we do, it's like this is what you do it for. If you can't be there playing it, next best thing is being there covering it and talking about it and being a part of it. And it's just, you take a step back and you're able to be a fan for a moment too, be a fan of the game and how big the moment is and how crazy it is. But also to the fans that we met, like just from walking out every day and going to the meet and greets. Like it was such a community, and it was so loving and fun, and everyone was there just because of the love of the game. So I am filled with so much joy.
Yep, me too. So that kind of puts a little bow on our World Series run. The Houston Astros, World Series champions. By the way, before we move on and start talking offseason, and then probably from here on out, this moment out.
Yeah.
We're gonna be talking about the offseason and then next season, and World Baseball Classic is around the corner.
Yeah.
But Houston Astros 2022 World Series champs, and I was thinking about this today. The Houston Astros might be the greatest road playoff team that has ever existed.
Okay.
I mean, yes, they've lost a couple of World Series in this run, but against the Nationals, they won every game on the road. I've never seen a team, and I've been a part of a lot of these runs with them. I think the Houston Astros are the greatest road playoff team that has ever existed. And we saw it here in this series. I saw the video yesterday, so shout out to the TikTok algorithm for bringing this back up. But in my World Series prediction, Astros in 6, and I mentioned the big advantage for the Astros comes on the road.
Yep.
Their experience there and the pitchers of the Phillies, and it just worked out. And congratulations to the Houston Astros for winning the 2022 World Series. But Alex, there is a lot of stuff to still talk about from 2022, including a big announcement a few days ago. The MLB award finalists have all been announced, and we have a lot to discuss.
We do. Let's jump right to it, yeah?
Yeah, where are we starting?
We're going to start with NL Rookie of the Year.
Okay.
All right. You got Brendan Donovan,
the
Cardinals, Michael Harris II, the Braves, and Spencer Strider, the Braves.
Man, what a class.
Is your pick?
The Braves I think these guys are going to finish 1 and 2. Michael Harris II and Spencer Strider. I'm going to go with Spencer Strider here.
Oh, okay.
Spencer Strider, the fastest pitcher in history to 200 strikeouts in a single season. He did it in 130 innings, topping Randy Johnson, who did it in 130 2/3 innings. So by 2/3 of an inning, Spencer Strider has become the fastest pitcher in a single season in history to 200 strikeouts. He's so good, so nasty, and a big part of why the Braves were able to come back and win that division. For me, NL Rookie of the Year, Braves starting pitcher Spencer Strider.
All right, well, let's move on to the AL Rookie of the Year nominees. We got Stephen Kwan, Julio Rodríguez, and Adley Rutschman. Who do you got?
No brainer.
Yeah.
The J-Rod show.
Yep.
Julio Rodríguez. What a year. The only rookie, so one of 3 rookies to go 25-25 in history, right? 25 home runs, 25 stolen bases. But on a technicality here, you can say he's the only one because he's the only rookie to ever do it in his debut season, which means when Mike Trout did it and Chris Young did it, they did it when they were still technically classified as a rookie that year after their debut. Julio Rodríguez did it in his debut season. So many accolades. He's the only rookie this year to make it to an All-Star game. One of only 3 Mariners rookies to make the All-Star game as a rookie, joining Alex Rodriguez and Ken Griffey Jr.
Whoa.
This guy is a superstar. This rookie class this year was phenomenal. I'd be remiss if I don't mention Jeremy Pena.
That was
not
my
being
biggest...
a finalist.
Yeah. How?
Look, these other names on here, Stephen Kwan, Adley Rutschman, great. But look, the Rookie of the Year, all of these awards are a regular season award, right? So him winning the CS MVP and the World Series MVP, as in Jeremy Pena, doesn't factor into this. But I don't understand. We were talking about him all year. He was phenomenal all year long in the role that he stepped in front of Carlos Correa, or after Carlos Correa. The year he had, I believe Jeremy Pena should be on this list of finalists. And it speaks volumes to the nominees this year and to how good the rookie class was, because Bobby Witt Jr. wasn't even on this list. And there's 5 guys that should legitimately be finalists, but none of them deserve to win it as much as Julio Rodríguez. He had an all-time rookie year. He is a superstar, and I called it before the season. Julio Rodríguez is going to be a superstar in this game, and I believed he was going to win Rookie of the Year, and he did.
Yeah. Well, he might. For you.
He might.
Yes.
Might. Of all, I will.
All.
Good catch there.
Yeah.
But of all of them, I feel like he has the
greatest chance.
The greatest chance.
Okay. Well, let's move to Manager of the Year, starting in the National League. You got Dave Roberts, Dodgers, Buck Showalter, Mets, and Brian Snitker, Braves.
This Manager of the Year, these are tough.
I know.
I'm going to take Buck Showalter here.
Ooh, okay.
Now, I'm going to take Buck because, one, they won 101 games.
Okay.
They were great. This is his first year there. Every year, the Mets end up metting, correct? Well, this year, the Mets didn't met until the playoffs. And guess what?
They met at the last week of the regular season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
But they still won 101 games, right?
Okay.
They were great. They won. They end up not winning the division, but they get in. It's one of only a few times they've won over 100 games in their history. I believe Buck Showalter is a big reason, a big part of that. And I forget who said it. I know Keith Hernandez mentioned it when he came on, but I don't believe it was his words. But he said, of all the acquisitions for the Mets in the offseason, arguably the biggest is Buck Showalter.
Yeah, definitely. I agree
And
with
we
that.
saw what he meant to that team. They were really good. Obviously, it did come crumbling down at a certain point. All they needed to do was win one game against the Atlanta Braves, and they win the division, and then they don't even have to play the Padres early on. But guess what? It happened. Does not take away from the year that they had, the regular season they had, and how good Buck Showalter was. I'm going to take him. Look, Dave Roberts on the National League side, they were supposed to win as many games as they did and win the NL West. And Brian Snitker, God, this was tough. But I like Buck Showalter. I think he wins.
That's fine. Sometimes you just got to pick it. All right, let's move to the American League. You have Terry Francona, the Guardians, Brandon Hyde with the Orioles, and Scott Service with the Mariners. We got
Dusty Baker should be on this list.
Ooh, okay. Immediate.
Well, if you're going to have Dave Roberts on it on the National League side,
Yeah.
a team that was supposed to be the 1 seed and was the 1 seed. The Astros were supposed to be the 1 seed, and they were the 1 seed. Like, how do you not put him on there? I don't know.
He also won the World Series, so.
Correct.
Yeah.
Ended up winning the World Series, which obviously doesn't count, but still, like, feels like an omission to not have him on. My winner for American League Manager of the Year, Brandon Hyde of the Orioles. Let me feed you a few numbers here, Alex.
Okay.
The Baltimore Orioles were projected to win 62 and a half games in 2022. That was their projection heading into the year. 62 and a half. They went 83 and 79, over 500, finished 3 games out of a playoff spot. The first team out of the playoffs on the American League side. What a year for them. Truly unbelievable. They surpassed their expected win total by 20 games. You never see that happening. A big part of that is the rookies that they believed in, that they called up, they flipped a switch, and Brandon Hyde deserves so much credit. A lot of these, the manager decision is going to be tough, but for me, I would go with Brandon Hyde for what he was able to do with a team that had no business being where they finished up.
Yeah, that was impressive. So that's a good call there.
Thank you.
Let's move on to Cy Young. We're going to start in the National League.
Okay.
You got Sandy Alcántara, Max Fried, and Julio Urias. Who you got?
I got Sandy Alcántara.
Okay.
What a year. This is the definition of a workhorse. He had by far the most complete games of anybody this year. He was nasty. Sandy Alcántara established himself as a bona fide workhorse of an ace this season. And I think this is going to be a runaway. I think this could be a unanimous first place for Sandy Alcántara. That's how good he was. You don't see many pitchers like him anymore in the game of baseball. Guys that are continually pitching into the 8th, 9th inning of baseball games. And he did it better than everybody else. And he did it at an incredible pace. And he did it with a ridiculously low ERA. I can't say enough about the year he had, and he deserves his first NL Cy Young Award.
I feel like you're going to be this passionate about the next group, the American League Cy Young nominees. Dylan Cease, Alek Manoah, and Justin Verlander.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
My winner here is Justin Verlander, and I do believe he wins his 3rd Cy Young Award. And, I was talking to Justin today, literally on my way in to record this episode, and just telling him how proud I was of him for this season, because I remember a little over a year ago, Justin and I were talking after he threw a baseball for the first time after his surgery, right? Just back throwing. And then we would talk after he threw off of a mound for the first time. And then we were talking after his first game in spring training. And then all of these boxes to check off. Justin ended up having one of the greatest seasons of all time. One of the greatest seasons of all time. Perhaps his greatest season of all time when he's an MVP award winner as a pitcher in 2011. He ended up with a 1.79 ERA. 1.79. The only pitcher in baseball with an ERA under 2. That's how good he was. And this season all led up to him pitching in the World Series, getting his first World Series win, winning the World Series with the Astros. I know none of that counts for the award. You want to talk regular season stats, you're not going to find any better than Justin's year this year. And for it to come after 2 years of not pitching in the big leagues, it's truly remarkable that we're here talking about this. My pick for American League Cy Young Award is Justin Verlander. Now, before we move on, because I'm giving updates when I feel like pitchers should be on here.
Okay.
Shohei should be a finalist here.
Interesting.
Shohei Ohtani should be a finalist for the AL Cy Young Award. I don't think he should win, but he should be on here. He was remarkable. He was dominant. He created a new pitch for himself in the middle of the year, and it was great. He had a low ERA. His advanced stats are disgusting. Shohei should be on here, but my pick overwhelmingly, and I'm hopeful is unanimous, is Justin Verlander for AL Cy Young.
Well, good news for you. You'll be able to dive into Shohei in just a moment here. All right.
Oh.
Yeah. So
we'll
we're going
see.
to talk MVPs.
You don't know my pick yet.
Yeah. Funny. You say that. All right. Let's start with the National League MVPs. Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt, and Manny Machado. Who you got?
I got Paul Goldschmidt. Not a great September for him or playoffs, but he was Mr. Consistent all year long until the very end. He was incredible. He just won a Hank Aaron Award for best hitter in the National League, which Aaron Judge won on the American League side of things. So congrats to those guys. Just a great year. And he's also going to play in the World Baseball Classic. Excited to watch him there. This one for me, I think he wins National League MVP, and I don't think it's particularly close. That was how good he had. He's come in second before. He's come in third before. It's been a matter of time, and he did it this year. I think he gets it done for the Cardinals and wins them an MVP award.
All right, well, let's move to the American League, which is probably one of the more heated discussions down the last month of the regular season and into the postseason. The AL MVPs, Yordan Alvarez, Aaron Judge, and Shohei Ohtani.
What a great group.
What an incredible
What a great group here. My winner for American League MVP is Shohei Ohtani. And for me, this is pretty simple. And it has nothing to do with the year that Aaron Judge had. Aaron Judge had an all-time year. It was one of the greatest offensive seasons we have ever seen. But Shohei Ohtani is the most valuable player. You can't get more valuable than what Shohei is to a team. You look at the league, you look at the team leaders. If you go look at the Angels team leaderboard, it's just Shohei everywhere you look.
Yep.
It's incredible. If you want to break down what is most valuable to a team, it's a guy like Shohei that takes up one spot on the roster and can be your ace and can be your best hitter. It's that simple. And I could go on for days and days and days about this, but
You did.
I did, and I will continue to. I don't believe Shohei is going to win the award. I believe Aaron Judge is going to win the MVP award. But it's not my vote. And Shohei last year had the greatest season we've ever seen, and he topped that this year because of how good he was on the mound. And then he's, after a slower start offensively, he was good offensively and dominant on the mound. If you're starting a team tomorrow and you have the first overall pick and you need to be successful for 1 year, you're taking Shohei because he's two guys. There's no argument for me. Shohei Ohtani, and here's an argument against him. What is he just going to win the MVP award every year because he's a pitcher and a hitter? Nope, absolutely not. But every year he does this, every year he's elite on the mound and great at the plate, absolutely he should win the most valuable player award. There's no doubt in my mind. He is the most valuable. Now, congratulations to Aaron Judge and the season that he had, because it was great. It was unbelievable. And if anybody is going to take away an MVP award from Shohei and what he did this year, it's going to be Aaron Judge because of what he did and how great it was. It wouldn't be my vote, but I understand that he is most likely going to win the award, and you will not hear me talk bad about the year he had, because how could you? It was remarkable. Shohei's my MVP. Shohei's my American League MVP. Shohei's my MVP of all of baseball. He has been so great for the game. He has transformed the game. He has transformed the viewership to baseball. He has brought eyes that have never watched baseball before because they hear that this modern day Babe Ruth is playing the game. He is. And the reason Shohei isn't going to win MVP is because he plays on a team that's not very good, and that's not his fault. If you take Aaron Judge and put him on the Angels, and you take Shohei Ohtani and you put him on the Yankees, the Angels still stink. And the Yankees are still a really good baseball team. It's frustrating. One player can't carry a team. I know Shohei's frustrated about it. I know he's frustrated about this season and the Angels not being very good. But he's not going to win MVP because of the team that he plays on. That doesn't sit well with me. He's the most valuable player in the game of baseball, and he's the greatest talent that we have ever seen. And after a year that he one-upped his unanimous MVP award, he should be MVP again.
Yep.
Agreement?
Oh, yeah. Hands down. He's doing things we've never seen before in the game of baseball. And if you are creating records for yourself and for the game, it's hard to wrap your head around how you're not considered the most valuable player to the game of baseball.
Yep. I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
So that does it for our awards, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like this offseason, I mentioned it before, maybe this is the official, like now we're looking forward, because that kind of was looking back.
Yeah,
right?
it was looking back.
This offseason already has a bunch of storylines, right? First up, Dusty Baker set to return. You often see an older guy ride off into the sunset when he wins something. No, not Dusty Baker. And we should have seen it coming because he said, I feel a couple weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago, I don't want one World Series. I want two.
Yep.
Dusty Baker has signed a 1-year deal. He is coming back, returning to the Astros dugout. I love it. If Dusty Baker, one of the greatest to ever do it, wants to come back and he wins a World Series, you let him come back. And he is.
Yeah, it's the right move. He just, as you mentioned, he just won the World Series. In his press conference after they announced that he was coming back, he said, this is what I was born to do. Be around the game, coach the game. He also won't say that this is his, quote, last year, because he doesn't want to go into it thinking that this is the end. And I think there's a good life lesson there because it really makes you be present. Makes you be present in today, what you're doing. Yeah, you set goals for the end of the year, but you're not thinking too far past that because you're not going to be able to get there unless you focus all of your energy and time into what you're doing right here, right now in the present.
Beautiful.
And Dusty, words of wisdom from Dusty Baker. Not thinking about after this year, just going to do what I can do right here and hopefully win another World Series.
He's got a lot of words of wisdom.
I know.
He gives a lot of great speeches, and he's a World Series champion. He's coming back on a 1-year deal, and Dusty gets a lot of flack sometimes about his bullpen usage and the way he manages a pitching staff. But there's also a lot of credit due to the locker room rallying around a guy like that and how much they love him and compete their tails off for him. So not all managers can check off every single box and be perfect at all of them. Dusty Baker, I thought, did a good job in the playoffs with the way he managed that pitching staff. But man, does the team love him, and he's coming back. So congratulations to Dusty and the Astros for running it back with the guy that led them. Another storyline, Edwin Diaz.
No, okay, now I'm going to stop.
I was going to let you go.
I know.
He's back. Signs the largest contract ever for a reliever. Largest contract ever. 5-year contract that runs through the 2027 season with an option for the 2028 season. $102 million for a closing pitcher that will come in and throw one inning, maybe a couple, maybe 3-4 times a week if you're winning games. Look, I love it. Pay the man. He was the best closer in baseball. He was the most dominant closer in baseball. He has the best entrance in all of baseball. By the way, don't think I'm letting you off the hook, Alex. You owe me playing Timmy Trumpets here in the studio.
We'll get back
to completion. That. I'm excited about it. Steve Cohen, the owner that pays billions of dollars for this team and will continue to pay until they win, and then probably after, tweets, "Sound the trumpets. It's official. Edwin Diaz deal is done." Love it. Good for him. Good for everybody because they do that walkout song right.
Get that money. I'm all about players getting it while they can. He deserves it. Mets would not be in the position where they were to get into the postseason, to have as many wins and save opportunities that they did without Edwin Diaz. And if they want to get there again in the future, they had to get this done.
Yep, absolutely. And last point that's already happened this offseason, some Shohei Ohtani news.
Yep.
He's not getting traded. The Angels and their GM, Perry Manassian, has said, "We are not trading Shohei Ohtani." Is that the right move? Well, I think the answer is yes and no. Look, their owner, their team is in the midst of possibly changing ownership. A team is clearly more valuable with a guy like Shohei Ohtani on the roster.
The most valuable guy on your roster. Think about it.
Yeah.
Majority of their sponsor sales that you see around the stadium are all Japanese companies.
Alex, I go to the Angels are the easiest team for me to get to games,
Yeah.
right? Because Dodger Stadium's a nightmare, and Angel Stadium is closer and massive parking lots. So I go to a lot of those games. When there is a Shohei Ohtani merchandise giveaway night, the stands are packed.
Sold out. Line out the door.
And once it gets to the second half of the year when there is not and they're out of contention, nobody's there.
Yeah.
I've never seen a player be more valuable to a franchise than what Shohei brings. I mean, yeah, like you mentioned, I went to Japan. I went to a Yakult Swallows game. Guess who's the prominent sponsor in Angel Stadium that you see everywhere? Yakult.
Yep.
It's everywhere. Japanese advertisements are everywhere. I mean, you're right. You're absolutely right. But he is not going to be traded, they announced. Shohei has said, and when he goes back to Japan, he does a press conference every year. One press conference. He said, this was not a good year.
No.
Now, the reason being because they're not winning baseball games. And he's been very vocal about, I just want to win.
Yep.
I'm sure he would love for that to be with the Angels. But if they're not going to win, he wants to win. And he deserves to win for what he's doing. He's missing out on MVP awards, most likely, because he's playing on a team that's not winning baseball games.
Yep.
Come on. Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani, get him to the playoffs. The world needs it. We all need it. They're not trading him, which would it be the right move if you want a winning organization sooner than later? Probably, because they've shown they can't win with the two greatest players on planet Earth. And who knows what you could get for Shohei Ohtani?
I mean, rebuild the whole farm system.
You could rebuild the whole farm system and your big league team.
Yep.
You should be able to. You could probably get multiple big league all-stars, future studs. But do I blame the Angels for not trading him? No. But to a certain degree, you have to wonder, well, if you don't show a willingness to win now in 1 year, you could see Shohei walk and get nothing.
It's a really complicated situation because obviously Artie's announced that he's looking to sell the team, right? But he's your biggest asset. So if you're selling the team to someone, they're going to want your biggest asset there.
Yeah.
But again, he's most valuable to you right now when you can get things in return for him.
Yep.
But then what if the new owner comes in, trades him immediately? Fans aren't going to like him. Fans aren't going to be happy with him. He's going to immediately start with, well, you just traded away our favorite player, our most valuable player. It's a really tough, almost lose-lose situation for the current owner, Artie Moreno, and whoever the new owner ends up being.
So I think the Angels have to be honest with themselves here, right? There's a lot of change seemingly on the horizon. New ownership. You have 1 year to show Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani that you want to win. Specifically Shohei, because Trout's wrapped up. You have 1 year, right? And if the Angels aren't winning come the trade deadline, that's really your last chance to get anything for him. So you have a very narrow window because Shohei shouldn't be forced to stay there and to re-sign and give a hometown discount to a team that's not winning, right? So they need to figure it out. They have until the All-Star break, and I think I think they have to make a decision and be honest with themselves at that point. But the announcement already this offseason, the Angels are not trading Shohei, at least up to this point. So the offseason is off and running, and already we have some storylines to talk about and to share. All right, Alex, let's head on over to the board now. It feels good to be back. Well, normally it's top 5 list, but today I'm doing a top 10 list. The top 10 free agents that are available for the taking, because this year,
it's crazy.
It is insane. And I just wanted to emphasize to all listeners here that there are some big names here and some big names that we have come to know and love and expect on a certain team are free agents and can be taken by anybody. So let's start.
Yeah.
Let's get started.
We have potential MVPs, potential Cy Young winners, potential faces of franchises on this list. So let's get started with number 10. Who do you got?
At number 10, Wilson Contreras. Wilson Contreras being at number 10 is mind-blowing, but it just speaks volumes to everybody on this list. Also, if you're the Cubs, why did you not get something for him at the trade deadline? He was the most key, obvious piece to trade, and they just didn't do it. So they're going to get nothing in return for him. He's here at number 10, one of the best offensive catchers in the game of baseball, a perennial all-star catcher. He was this year. I'm sure he will be in the future as well. Contreras is great, and he comes in at number 10 on my list.
All right, who you got at number 9?
At number 9, Kodai Senga, coming over from Japan. Let me tell you a little bit about this guy, okay? Last year, 144 innings pitched, 156 strikeouts. He's topped out at 101.9 miles an hour.
Whoa.
So I like to round up to 102 miles an hour. He is disgusting. He had an ERA well under 2 over there. Know the name, learn the name, Kodai Senga. He is coming. He is on the market. And if a team pays the right price, he will be here pitching for one of the Major League Baseball teams. And he is the real deal. He's at number 9 on my list.
I love that. Who you got at number 8?
At number 8, I have Carlos Rodon of the previous San Francisco Giants and previous Chicago White Sox. He has opted out. He is back on the market. What a great year for him. And he will be one of the most sought-after starting pitchers on the market after the last year he had in Chicago, then going to the Giants this year and being that dominant ace of a staff kind of guy. He's here at number 8 on my list.
All right, who you got at number 7?
At number 7, Dansby Swanson. He is available.
That's crazy.
He is on the market. And after everything that happened last year with Freddie Freeman, I am not going to assume that the Braves are going to do the right thing and re-sign their guy and pay him the amount of money that he deserves. Dansby, it feels like the last 2 years has established himself as one of the great shortstops in the game of baseball. It's been there defensively. Offensively, it has taken a little while. And last year was the start of something special. This year, he was one of the best shortstops in the game of baseball. He's great. I hope the Braves sign him. And I said this last year with Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman is an Atlanta Brave. I still believe Freddie Freeman is an Atlanta Brave, but he's not. Dansby is an Atlanta Brave. He's a hometown guy. He's from there. He's their shortstop, and they should wrap him up and make him their shortstop for his entire career. Do it. Do the right thing. Don't expect him to take a hometown discount. I think Alex and I are on the same page here. Players are under no obligation to take a hometown discount. Pay a guy. If you want him, pay him, because baseball lifespans are very short, and you've earned the amount of money that you deserve to make. A player should not have to take a hometown discount to be with the team. And ownership and a front office should say, you know what? You have done enough for us. We want to pay you everything you deserve. And Dansby deserves to be paid, and I hope the Braves do it, but he's a free agent.
I'm with you there. This is the hard part of sports, too, though, where you feel like a guy is a part of the team and is that franchise, but it's a business.
Yep.
End of the day, baseball's a business, and this is where hearts get broken, people move on. It's going to be interesting to see what happens here. But let's move on to number 6.
Number 6.
A guy.
Xander Bogaerts.
All right.
What were you going to say?
No, go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Xander Bogaerts is number 6. Again, one of the elite shortstops in the game of baseball, as we have seen and might continue to see when we get to the top 5. Shortstop, there's a lot of key elite shortstops that are free agents this offseason. Xander Bogaerts being one of those, continually one of the most underrated players in the game of baseball. This is particularly important for the Boston Red Sox because Xander Bogaerts, free agent. Rafael Devers, free agent right around the corner.
Ooh.
He is not yet.
Yeah.
But he is due, and they are in talks for maybe an extension. But he has said, and I believe what he's doing is waiting to see how the Red Sox handle the Xander Bogaerts negotiations. And apparently it's not going great thus far. So, look, we've seen it before with the Red Sox. I have some words for the Red Sox organization. If you have a guy like Mookie Betts on your team that can win an MVPs, pay the man. Make him your guy. If you have a guy like Xander Bogaerts, Rafael Devers, pay the man. Wrap him up. That's a great core, I think. Imagine if they had Mookie Betts, Xander Bogaerts, and Rafael Devers.
Could be unstoppable.
Pretty good core. But no, they let Mookie go. They say, hey, we're only willing to pay you this amount of money. And then it turns out he's worth more than that. And then they up their price. They're a mess. And they need to figure it out. And it starts with handling Xander Bogaerts and Rafael Devers correctly. And this offseason, it starts with Xander Bogaerts being a free agent. But Boston Red Sox, figure it out. You have time to undo all of the wrongs and all the messes you've gotten yourself into. Figure it out. Re-sign your guys. It starts with Xander Bogaerts this offseason, and then it will be Rafael Devers.
All right, let's get to the top 5. At number 5, it's crazy to think that, like,
these guys
this aren't in the top 5.
Yeah.
Okay, who do you have at number 5?
Keeping the theme going of shortstop.
Yeah, you are.
Carlos Correa. Carlos Correa, who last year was, oh man, the conversation around Correa last year was, how much is he going to get paid? He could get paid $300 million over 10 years. No, he took a deal that nobody saw coming with the Minnesota Twins that left him an opt-out. And he did opt out. He again becomes a free agent, and he's again going to get a lot of money. I think this offseason is the year that we see him probably sign a longer-term deal, get it done. Last offseason, things were thrown all out of whack with the lockout and everything happening, and he didn't get the deal that we all thought he would. Carlos Correa, though not the year that we expected from him offensively, is still a stud and a leader in a clubhouse, great defensively, really good offensively. He will have a good year wherever he goes. Carlos Correa at number 5 on my list.
That's nuts. All right, who you got at number 4?
At number 4, Jacob deGrom.
Oof.
Now, Jacob deGrom is a free agent, and I have a lot of thoughts here about deGrom.
Okay.
Right? Jacob deGrom, when healthy, is the best pitcher, I think, in baseball. Now, he wasn't great down the stretch and had some losses in some big games, but when healthy, Jacob deGrom is probably the most dominant pitcher in baseball. When healthy is a big term here. If I'm the New York Mets, I am not overpaying to keep Jacob deGrom in New York.
Interesting.
I'm not doing it.
Okay.
I think Jacob deGrom is great and is going to be a huge asset for a team. But we've seen now over the course of the last 2-3 years that he's not out there super often. And I have some big concerns with Jacob deGrom and his arm. It feels like every time he takes the mound, you're holding your breath that he just stays healthy throughout the outing. Is that a guy that you want to pay $30-40 million a year for? It could be.
Some teams will.
Some teams will. And a team most definitely will.
Yes.
But it is a risk.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Yes.
He is a free agent. He's going to be a top acquisition for anybody. The hope is just that he stays healthy, and it is a big question mark. So I don't know who's going to do it, but somebody will be happy to have him for sure, and they are going to pay a lot of money to do it. My only point is, if I'm the Mets and I'm Steve Cohen has been known to open up those pockets and just do whatever he needs to do. I'm just saying, I don't know if I would overpay to get a guy like Jacob deGrom when he hasn't been on the mound that much in the last few years. But he is dominant, he is great, and any team would be happy to have him. And guess what? If I was a GM or owner, I'd be happy to have him too. He's Jacob deGrom.
All right, who you got at number 3?
Moving on to number 3 on my list, Justin Verlander. He is a free agent officially as of today. We are recording this on a Thursday. He is a free agent. He has opted out. He's back on the market. And look, last year that deal he signed was, hey, we don't know what we're going to get out of you. We know the last full year you pitched, you won the Cy Young Award, right? But you haven't pitched in 2 years. What are you going to get? That's the kind of deal he signed.
Yeah.
Now he is back, and
dominant.
Perhaps the last 2 full seasons that he has pitched a Cy Young winner, 2019 and 2022. I'm hopeful that happens. Pretty crazy. And I feel like because there's that gap, we're not talking about that enough. But the last full season Justin pitched prior to this season, he won the Cy Young Award. This year, he is the favorite to win the AL Cy Young Award. And he is now a free agent. Throw age out the window. By the time next year starts, Justin will be 40 years old. But guess what? He's still throwing 98. He touched 99. He had a 1.79 ERA, one of the greatest American League ERAs of all time since Pedro Martinez, and he finished like 2 outs away from passing Pedro for the best ERA. What a year. And he's on the market.
What do you think? Is there like a intuition, or like Astros come and match if someone else comes in big?
I think Jim Crane does what I think Jim Crane goes above and beyond to try and bring Justin back. But I'm not going to make any predictions. Justin and I talk about these sort of things, and so I feel like me giving a prediction would come off as like, Ben has said he's doing this, or that means something. So I don't want to name any teams, but he is on the market for now his 2nd time in his career. One of the greatest to ever do it. Is going to be a big asset for a team come next year.
Yep. All right. Who's at number 2?
Number 2, Trea Turner. Trea Turner is on the market. This shortstop list, or wherever Trea Turner is going to end up playing. He's played center field before. He's played second base before. But in my opinion, Trea Turner wants to be a shortstop. So where does that mean he goes? I don't know. I've said before, I think he comes back to the East Coast. My prediction months ago was that Trea Turner ends up on the Philadelphia Phillies.
Which would be crazy.
I saw something today that said the Phillies are already big suitors in going after Trea Turner. And 1, how could you not be?
Yeah.
But 2, I think he wants to play there. I think it's going to happen.
I get it. After being there and seeing it.
And how could he not be thinking that, right?
I know.
He was sitting on his couch watching the World Series, seeing that atmosphere that we walked away so impressed by. Like, how could you not want to play there? On a team that's really just missing a middle infielder. Like, Alec Boehm definitely improved this year at third base. Rhys Hoskins at first base. You have Bryce Harper, who will, depending on what happens with his arm, be back in the outfield. Like, the Phillies are 1 outfielder and a middle infielder away. Imagine getting Trea Turner.
Insane.
It'd be so awesome. But anyway, he's a free agent, and he's my number 2 free agent.
Yeah, I think the Dodgers will give him something, but they got to go after pitching. And that was something we talked about into the playoffs. So it's going to be interesting. He's going to have his options opened. I think I have a slight guess.
Yeah.
Your number one is?
Your guess is on point.
Yeah.
My number one top free agent is a guy that just broke the American League home run record for the New York Yankees. That's right. Aaron Judge is a free agent.
It's crazy.
Where is he going? If you're the Yankees and you do not sign him to a lifetime contract, you have failed miserably. To the Yankees, re-sign your man, put a C on his chest, pay him everything he deserves and more. He is a New York Yankee. He is a free agent, and now it is your obligation to go get your guy. Aaron Judge is most likely going to win the MVP award after a year where he turned down a preseason multi-year contract and hundreds of millions of dollars, where he went out, he bet on himself, he broke the home run record. He's gonna most likely win an MVP award, and it's gonna cost you.
Yep.
And you gotta pay for him. But there are other teams.
That will pay for him.
The Giants have gone out and said, we will pay for him. We have the money. There are teams that do have the money, that do want him. And Aaron Judge has wiped the Yankees clean off of his social media. He doesn't follow them. He has wiped it clean.
Whoa.
He is a free agent.
Whoa.
At least as of a few days ago.
Okay, I was going to say, I haven't noticed that yet.
I believe that to be the case.
That's where it gets spicy.
I love
That's
when
the
that
age
comes
of
social
in.
media.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm free.
Crazy.
I'm free.
And maybe, who knows? I haven't looked at his Twitter lately. Maybe he's paying for Twitter Blue. Who knows? Maybe he's not because he hasn't signed his big contract yet. Somebody's going to pay him, and he will be able to pay $8 a month for that Twitter Blue check mark that he might get. I can't believe this is the free agent list. And I can't believe it. But Aaron Judge is a free agent, and he rounds out my top 10 list of free agents. And there are plenty of other names that didn't make the cut. And throughout all of these shows that we're going to be doing in the offseason, we will no doubt be touching on all of the free agents and where everybody's signing. But big names like Chris Bassett is a free agent. The number 3 guy for the Mets. There's plenty of names to go around. Kershaw is a free agent. So there's a lot to be done. There's a lot to talk about this offseason, but I can't believe it. Look at just this top 5.
It's crazy.
Carlos Correa, Jacob deGrom, Justin Verlander, Trea Turner, Aaron Judge. Those are franchise staples.
Yep.
As you mentioned, MVPs, Cy Youngs, guys that were both a Cy Young and an MVP.
Faces of franchises.
Faces of franchises.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's nuts.
It is nuts.
This is nuts. You don't always get this. That means it's going to be exciting.
It is going to be exciting. Alex and I will be here with you throughout the entire offseason. We'll still be doing shows. We're not going anywhere. It just might not be every single day as it is during the regular season, but it will be often. And we do have a lot to talk about. We did today. And it's all leading up to not just the start of the regular season, the World Baseball Classic, which is exclusively on Fox. We will be talking all about that, but already a lot happening, a lot to look forward to. And that does it for this first episode of the off season of Flippin' Bats. Thank you all for listening. Make sure you subscribe. Wherever you're listening, subscribe to the podcast, Apple, Spotify, wherever. We're also on all social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and you can watch every single episode as well on YouTube at Flippin' Bats Pod for all of them. For Alex and I, we are back in studio. This has been a blast. Thank you all, and we will see you next time for another episode of Flippin' Bats. Peace.
See ya.